Hi friends. So I talk a lot about activism and civic engagement on this channel. You might be surprised to learn that my personal history with political involvement didn't start with learning about feminism or racial justice. It started with environmental sustainability. I grew up having a vegetable garden and composting at home, so when I went off to college in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I wanted to do something about all of the food waste I saw around me. I lobbied school administrators and organized some of my fellow students to eventually bring a composting program to the campus dining halls. I even became president of the Students for an Environmentally Active Campus Club. Environmentalism, specifically around food sustainability, was my first experience of learning that I, as an individual, could build power and change my community. That said, when I graduated, I kind of fell off because it never really seemed like the climate movement had a place for me. Everybody else in it looked like this. This is my girlfriend Miriam. She has a climate channel on YouTube called Zentoro. She's also working on her PhD in climate science, and she's moderately to severely, I'd say severely Caucasian. So Miriam, why does the climate movement seem so white?
I mean, like everything, it's systematic racism. I don't need to tell you that, but it's everywhere, and it's in the environmental movement, and it's in the climate movement. We've talked about this before. So if something really big is happening in the climate world, like a huge protest is happening or a big report is released, I ask you if you've seen it.
What makes it to like my Twitter is like Bill Nye, Al Gore, Greta, and like Jane Fonda sometimes.
Yeah. So it's like, it's got more
I'm
complicated.
not trying to throw Jane Fonda under the bus.
There are a lot of big groups and white activists kind of sucking up all the air and money and attention. It's not that there haven't been people of color working in their communities and on a global scale trying to change things. It's just that the biggest groups and the most popular activists are all white because of how our system props up white people. And that discrepancy is really ridiculous and honestly pretty upsetting because the people that are already impacted and are going to continue to be impacted the most are people of color.
It's clear to me now that climate change and environmental degradation is a racial justice issue. Remember how I was organizing for sustainability in Milwaukee? Well, Milwaukee's also a deeply segregated city with a history of redlining so strict that in the 60s, a council of black youth, along with local leaders like Vel Phillips, Milwaukee's first black alderwoman and one of my civil rights heroes, marched for 200 nights over the 16th Street Bridge from the north side, where black Milwaukeeans had been confined to living, to the south side, where only white people were able to rent or buy property. I, in the 2010s, lived on 15th Street, and I remember the 16th Street Bridge, and that nobody really walked over it because there were just power plants and industrial smokestacks and stuff. And that was my introduction to the concept of environmental racism. It's the idea that disproportionately, communities of color are subjected to higher pollution, poorer air and water quality, even fewer parks and green spaces. You may have seen examples of this in the news, like the lead-poisoned water in mostly black Flint, Michigan, or the Dakota Access oil pipeline being built through the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation and threatening their clean water. Milwaukee has also had a water lead poisoning crisis in recent years, primarily in, you guessed it, the north side. And this kind of thing is happening everywhere, not just with pollution either. The effects of climate change stand to threaten the homes, land, job, and food supplies of Black and Indigenous people first, even though they've done the least to cause it. So why is it that it feels like the loudest voices in the climate movement aren't from these communities?
So I'm here with Raya Salter. Raya is a climate justice activist, lawyer, organizer, that she's also a creator here on YouTube. She's making a project that I think is super interesting, counteracting climate anxiety with ASMR. So it's a climate ASMR channel. So I'll have links in the description to go check that out. But I really wanted to talk to you, Raya, to learn a little bit more about climate justice and what it is. Is it the same thing as, I also hear the terms environmental justice tossed around. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Hello, and I'm delighted to be here with you today. So yes, they build on each other in time. Environmental justice involves both the unequal distribution of environmental benefits and harms based on race and other factors over time, including the cumulative impacts, and the unequal enforcement of environmental laws due to race and other factors. Climate justice really came out of environmental justice. And I think that's important. Climate justice has always been racial justice. And it started in Black and Indigenous activist communities as well, as it has both a local and a international frame. Those who have done the most to contribute to climate crisis are experiencing those impacts the least, and those who have done the least to contribute to climate crisis are experiencing those impacts first and worst, and that needs to be recognized and repatriated. And so that is the climate justice frame.
Being a Black climate activist yourself, I know that you're probably not alone in this fight. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the leadership in this movement and, what we can learn from it right now?
And I don't think that it will surprise you, but there is a long and strong tradition of Black and Indigenous women leading this fight, from Winona LaDuke, Dr. Dorcetta Taylor. This tradition continues on today with Little Miss Flint, AOC, and folks like Tamara O'Loughlin, who is a North America director for 350. It is us, unheralded as climate and environmental justice activists then and now. We need to step up and get involved and build our power together.
I talk so much on this channel about how we build our collective power through voting and organizing in a political space. But of course, race is political, climate is political now in ways that maybe it shouldn't be, but that's the reality that we're in. How do we seek out and also be part of the Black and Indigenous-led environmental justice movement?
The big reason that you don't see more visibility for Black and Indigenous environmental leaders has been just a massive inequity in funding to environmental groups, massive. Whereas a group like the NRDC that I used to work for has a above $100 million yearly budget, way above. And a group like New Yorker News literally has like 1%, 0.5% of that. So, and a lot of that goes towards organizing and messaging. We are out here. So you can take a look and, you can look us up, be it on Twitter. Now with in this pandemic, social media is actually a really good way to start figuring out like who is nearby you, and also, in the universe in terms of leadership. Check out the New Yorker News Coalition, the Climate Justice Alliance, the national group. There are a lot of groups nationally. And this movement is not nascent in its origin. It has been established and longstanding. However, there is this continued and ongoing need for more leadership. So you, especially if you may be a place in a place perhaps in a white area where there aren't a lot of Black activists, period, don't be afraid to step up yourself. Anywhere where BIPOC people are talking about these issues related to racial and social justice, you can enter that conversation with this intersectional frame. I think that's how we're going to build this movement together. It could very well be a youth group, a church group, a civic group, an NAACP or like-minded group. And you know what, the journey to sort of establishing an engaging community can happen at like several levels, and also has to happen like as you were able to do it at the time. You may be in a place where you're immunocompromised, perhaps, where you can't be out there in the streets protesting or doing mutual aid or finding community that way. And that's okay. So if you are following some of the national movements online and taking advantage of those opportunities that are organized that way, that's okay. Just where people are being active, you can be an intersectional agent for climate and environmental justice. We are right now, a Category 4 hurricane is barreling towards Louisiana and Texas. This is about us, about our people, about our survival. Let's speak it. I really encourage people to step up and not ask permission. Don't, as much as it's important to get in community and important to learn from activists before you and important to work intergenerationally and a lot of other things, sometimes the leader is you.
Raya's right. Black and Indigenous climate leadership exists, but it's often hard to find this leadership because it exists at a deeply local level rather than these super well-funded national legacy organizations. For my white viewers out there, we need you to support Black, Indigenous, and people of color in climate leadership now. And that doesn't mean to get on a plane and go to Standing Rock and like suck up all the air, but do some research on who is leading climate activism in your own community and listen to the people who are most vulnerable before you get your little Tivas to the front of the march, you know what I mean? For people of color, I hope that watching this has gotten you thinking about how we can center and build our power without asking for permission. You can start by Googling environmental justice in the name of your town or city to see what local groups might already exist that you can get involved with, or if there aren't any that exist or feel welcoming to you, all it takes is you and at least one other person to start your own. You could choose something like researching the air or water quality or major polluters in your community and bring that information to your city council member. Or make an emergency preparedness plan with your neighborhood as climate change brings about more extreme weather events. And of course, voting is only one of your many tools, but you can vote in leaders who care about environmental justice and have plans to address it. You can text EJ to 97779 to get more information about how to be an environmental justice voter.
Raya, thank you so much. I feel like we've learned a lot from you. If people want to continue to learn from you and continue to be in community with you, where can people find you?
I am on YouTube. I am Sweet Soul Whisper. I'm also Raya Salter. I'm on Twitter, Earth to Raya. I'm on Instagram at Green Girl Magic. And check out the New York Renews Climate Justice Coalition, newyorkrenews.org.
In the comments, let me know about one way that you see climate change affecting your life or the world around you, or if you know of any climate activists of color that everyone else should go follow, give them a shout out down below, and I will see you soon. Bye.